Hi everyone, my name is Anthony and I'm the creator behind Legions of Will. Legions of Will is a strategy-based deck building card game which focuses on building up and destroying bases. You are the commander of your own army, and it's up to you to assemble a legion in order to help restore balance in the universe or destroy everything in your path. Each player will need a 40 card deck and 3 unique base cards to play. You will also need a 12-sided dice and a way to track your resource. The battlefield or play area should look something like this. You will start the game with one of your bases face up and the other two face down. On the back of the face down base cards you will see a number. That number is the activation cost for that base. During any one of your main phases, you may pay resource equal to that number, turning that base face up. You may reactivate a base any number of times at no extra cost. When a base is destroyed, you turn it face down, and anything attached to that base is also destroyed. All permanents besides your bases will end up in your graveyard pile once they're destroyed. If all 3 of a player's bases are turned face down, then that player loses the game. So decide who goes first and draw 2 cards. You should always have 2 cards in your hand. You do not draw cards at the start of your turn. However, when you play a card, you will draw a card after the effect of that card resolves, and only if you have less than 2 cards in hand at that time. So let's go over the different card types. Base cards are the foundation of the game. Bases produce resources, they have a defense level, and they have a capacity level. So the defense level is how much damage a base can take before it's destroyed. And your capacity, which is represented by the circle in the center, represents how many permanents you can attach to that base. So permanents being upgrades, traps, and units. All the way to the right, you'll see a third number. That is how much resource that base can produce at the start of your turn. So upgrades are permanent cards that attach to a single base. Upgrades expand your base's capacity, defense, and/or resource production. You cannot have multiple copies of a specific upgrade in your deck. To play an upgrade, you pay the resource cost and attach it to your base. Some upgrades have an effect, and all of this applies to the base it's attached to. Action cards are cards that can be played at any time during the game. You can play an action card during your main phase or in response to an event. To play an action card, you'll pay the resource cost, which is located in the top right-hand corner, and then when you play an action, the effect of that will trigger. Some actions have a redeem subtype, and redeem means you get to play the resource cost of that card, put it into your graveyard pile, thus drawing you another card. So it's a way to sort of like cycle the card out of your hand and draw something new. That way you're not stuck with this card and it's just dead weight. Trap cards are permanents that are attached face down to a single base, and only the player that played the trap card can see what it is. No one else is allowed to look at the face down cards that they don't own, unless they have an effect that mentions otherwise. Traps all cost 2, so all traps cost 2 to attach to your base. But then each trap will have an activation cost, which is what you'll pay to flip it over, revealing it to all players, and then that ability would then take effect. So trap cards can only be activated in response to your base being attacked, targeted, or destroyed. And finally, units. Unit cards are permanents that make up your army. An army is the total number of units that are stationed within the same base. So you pay the activation cost of a unit, which is located in the top right-hand corner, just like the upgrades or the actions. You pay that cost, you then station that unit in one of your 3 bases, as long as there's enough capacity available. With the units, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a smaller circle represented by the color purple. That represents its will, and then the number to the right of that represents its power. When a unit goes to attack, it must first check to see if it has the will to attack. So you'll roll your d12, and if the number is greater than or equal to the number shown on the card, then that unit will be able to attack. If it does attack, then it's tapped, signaling that it's exerted and it won't be able to block. The power represents how much damage it can deal and how much damage it can take. So a 9 will beat an 8, an 8 will beat a 7 will beat a 3, and so on. If both the numbers are the same, then they're both destroyed. Now at the start of your turn, you will add resource to your reserve equal to the amount of resource produced by your bases and or other permanents. Resources stay in your reserve until it is used, and you cannot have more than 20 resource. During your main phase, you may use your resource to play cards. You may then proceed to your battle phase, which we'll discuss in a moment. After your battle phase or your first main phase, you may proceed to your second main phase or main phase 2. When you want to end your turn, you will then proceed to your end phase, effectively ending your turn and passing priority to the next player. During your battle phase, you will choose which units you want to attack with. Any other player may respond to this event. Decide in what order your units are attacking and roll a 12-sided dice to determine if that unit meets the will requirement to attack. If the result of the dice roll is greater than or equal to that unit's will, then that unit may attack. You will then declare which base that unit is attacking, and you'll repeat this process for each unit you wish to attack with. When a unit is attacking, it is tapped or rotated to signal its exertion and inability to block until your next turn. If a unit does not have the will to attack, then nothing happens. Your opponent may choose to block a unit with any number of units they control, and then all damage will occur simultaneously. When a unit is dealt damage that meets or exceeds their power level, they are destroyed and placed into the graveyard pile. If a base is dealt damage greater than or equal to its defense level, then that base is destroyed and all permanents attached to that base are also destroyed. You will then turn your base face down and all permanents will enter the graveyard pile. So in summary, each player begins the game with a 40 card deck and 3 base cards, one face up and the other 2 face down. You will need a d12 to determine a unit's will to attack and a way to track your resource, which must not exceed 20. Pay the resource cost of cards to either attach permanents to your base or gain an effect off of an action. Place traps face down to deter your opponents from attacking that base. Build up your army and attack your opponent's bases to destroy them and win the game. So I hope you enjoyed this quick summary on how to play Legions of Will. You can join the community Discord group by using the link in the description and stay up to date with any future developments, news, and/or promotions. So until next time.